Jainism, Buddhism and Sikhism are separate religions, but they all share in common many philosophies like Atman, soul, Punarjanam, reincarnation, karma and moksha, salvation with Hinduism. I have therefore written 2 chapters on each of these religions in the book. Also, these all 4 religions started in India. Jainism started with Mahavira, who was an elderly contemporary of Buddha. Jains, however, believed that he was the last of the 24 Tirthankars, liberated souls. His immediate predecessor, Parasvantha, is also a historical figure who lived in the 8th century BCE. It is believed that the first Tirthankara was Rishabdeva, who probably lived around 8,500 years ago. The naked standing figures of the Saraswati Sindhu civilization are considered to be the representations of Rishabdeva. He had a son, Bharata, after whom the name Bharat was expediently adopted for ancient India. The roots of the Jain philosophy go toward the distant past of the prehistoric era of the Indian subcontinent, when meditation, an ascetic way of living, and vegetarianism seemingly first found their place in human history. These philosophical concepts became established as the ancient Indian ideology of the oral tradition, which in course of time would feed all the emerging spiritual philosophies, including Hinduism, Jainism and Buddhism. Later, it became known in part as Sramana ideology, which became more identified with the religions of Jainism and Buddhism. Sraman in Sanskrit means monk. The possibility of the common ancient prehistoric origin of all these religions is thus very strong. Jainism owes its origin to the philosophy of Jina, the conqueror. Jina was coined when Mahavira returned after 12 years of rigorous ascetic practices to win complete control over the erring and destructive mind. He started to preach the Jaina path of purification of the soul. Jainism also gave the world the philosophy of anekta, the concept of different points of view. It is hard to imagine how the ancient sages of India could have conceived such thoughts which appear ultra-modern even today. They taught non-violence in thought, word and action. The world is only slowly coming to grips with these ideas, which are finally being embraced as the ideal way to live in a plural society. The philosophy of non-absolutism was a tool against dogmatism, which perhaps is the root cause of many human conflicts. Mahavira preached thus: "He who knows what is bad for himself knows what is bad for others, and he who knows what is bad for others knows what is bad for himself. One whose mind is at peace and who is free from passion does not desire to live at the expense of others. He who understands the nature of sin against earth, water, air, fire, plants and animals is a true sage and understands karma." The most important attribute of both Jainism and Buddhism is the adoption of a simple and logical attitude of virtuous behavior for salvation of the soul. good ethical conduct takes the place of the mystical power of the divine. The realization that such conduct alone brings peace of mind and permanent joy then leads one towards the path of liberation of the soul. One takes the responsibility of self-improvement in one's own hands and works diligently towards that end. This has been described as rational understanding or samyak drishti. Supreme forgiveness, supreme humility, supreme straightforwardness, supreme truthfulness, supreme purity, supreme self-restraint, supreme austerity, supreme renunciation, supreme detachment, and supreme continence are the 10 characteristics of Jain Dharma. The 7 vices from which a householder should abstain are sexual conduct with a woman other than one's own wife, gambling, taking intoxicants, hunting, uttering harsh words, giving disproportionate punishment, and misappropriation of others' property.